by day, and 60 bakers baking by night, baking bread for the poor people, for the community. Akiva, if you want to send to the group that we're on. And he put the food out during the hungry years. He would put food out in the street, so poor people who are embarrassed to come could just take it in the middle of the night. And he had entranceways to his house on all four sides. He was an amazing, to make it easier for the people to come. He was an amazing person. And they passed by his house, and one of the rabbis was sighing. One of the rabbis was in great distress, passing by the house of such a person who was who used to do so much for the community, and now the house lay in ruins. So that's why he explained why he was sighing. So the other rabbi told him, Amalei, the first word of the line is Betila. It's about 10 lines into the wide lines. Everyone have it? Mr. Haber, you have it? No, it's more over here. Rabbi Yochanan said the following. Miyom shachara Beit HaMikdash, from the day that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, nigzer gzeira al batehem shel tzadikim sheyechravu. There was a gzeira that not only the Beit HaMikdash will be destroyed, the houses of tzadikim, the houses of very righteous people, will also be destroyed. And the Ben Yehoyada explains, what was the purpose of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash? Purpose of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash to be a kapara, to atonement for the Jewish people's sins. Like it says, it's better that God takes out his anger on the Jewish people on Eitzim V'Avanim, better that he takes out his anger on the Beit HaMikdash rather than on the people. So it's much better than the house. Let's say Chas v'Shalom, someone's house has a fire. It's much better if the house has the fire than the people get on fire. So Chas v'Shalom. Obviously, ideally, no one should ever have a trouble, but it serves as a kapara. Here we are today on Asara B'Tevet, where Nebuchadnezzar laid siege to Jerusalem, which led to the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash. And here our Gemara that we're opening up today is talking about what? The destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And to recognize that was a kapara, recognize that the problem is that we needed a kapara. The problem was that the people did sin, that they needed a kapara. So the Ben Yehoyada explains that just like the destruction of Beit HaMikdash is a kapara for the Jewish peoples and atonement, so too, after the Beit HaMikdash is destroyed, Hashem will destroy houses of tzaddikim also to go ahead and use as a kapara. I mean, it says there is such a thing. It's very interesting that such a thing that the death of a tzaddik is compared to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. So the house of a tzaddik is also comparable to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. Because really, what is the house of a tzaddik? The house of a tzaddik is really like a mini Beit HaMikdash. It's a small holy place, and therefore it also resembles the Beit HaMikdash, and therefore that will be a place where Hashem will destroy the building will be destroyed in order there should be kapara on the Jewish people. And Shenema, and the pasuk says in Yeshaya, when Yeshaya has a nevuah about the punishment that's going to come to the Jewish community because of all the wicked people that are doing sins. Ba'aznai Hashem Svakot says, I heard that Hashem decreed, Imlo batim rabim l'shamayu, that God, so to speak, swears that batim rabim will be desolate, will be empty, destroyed. Gedolim v'tovim me'ein yoshev. The gedolim, the houses that are gedolim, the houses that are tovim, meaning the pasuk opens up and it says batim rabim, many homes. Many homes sound like the regular average home, but then you refer to a house as gedolim, tovim. Who is the gedolim? What house is called gedolim? What house is called tovim? That what is it? The houses of the holy people. Those houses are referred to as Gedolim and Tovim. Like it says Avram made a Mishte Gadol, Biyom Higomel es Yitzchak, when Yitzchak stopped nursing, according to one shot, it was called Mishte Gadol, a great feast. So Rashi, I think Rashi brings down, why is it called a Mishte Gadol? Because there were Gedolim there. What makes it a great meal? What makes a Suda great? Who the people are. If you have great people that attend the Suda, that's called a Mishte Gadol. Not just by the fact that you have so much food at the Mishte, you call it, well, it's a big feast. But to really be a big feast, like you have, great rabbis, you call Gedolim, Mishte Gadol. So that's what it says. The houses were Gedolim. What do you mean the houses were Gedolim? Because the people that lived there were great people, with tzaddikim. So that's Mishte Gadol. That's Gedolim v'Tovim. Those are houses of tzaddikim. Good morning, Aaron. Welcome back. That's what the Gemara says. But even though it says that the houses of the tzaddikim, of great people, will become desolate, the houses of great people will become broken, but you know what? They will be back in the future. The houses of the Gedolim, just like we know that the synagogues, like the Safra synagogue, will be transplanted to Eretz Yisrael, so too the houses of great people will be rebuilt. Hashem will rebuild them. And maybe we see this indicates the holiness of the house of a tzaddik. It's just like a synagogue in a certain sense. Because what's a synagogue? Kedusha, it's a place, two people are in the waiting room. Sorry about that. What's a synagogue? A synagogue is a place of Kedusha. A synagogue is a place of holiness. And that's the house of the, Akiva, you want to help me out in getting the people in over here? Let's see. A synagogue is a place of holiness. You want to see if we can get the people in? There are two people waiting. So that's why the same way a synagogue is going to come back, so too the houses of the, are they still waiting or they're not still waiting? They left. Let me just tell. If you want to tell Yosef, you can go back on. So therefore that house is going to come, it's going to come back in the future. Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan says, She'otira Kodesh Baruch Hu, Hashem is lachziran liyeshuvam. Hashem is going to bring them back to where they were originally. They're going to come back to its glory. Shenema, Shir Malot, LeDavid, Habutchem b'Hashem, Kahar Tzion. The ones that have bitochen in Hashem, like Har Tzion. Just like Har Tzion, lo yimot, lo olam, lo yimot. They'll never falter, lo olam yeshev. They will always remain. The people who have confidence, bitochen b'Hashem, and the pasuk is talking about the houses of tzaddikim, and it's comparing the houses of the tzaddikim to the ones that have bitochen in Hashem. So therefore, ma hatzion osira kodesh baruch hu, just like Hatzion, Yerushalayim, the Beit HaMikdash is going to come back, so too, af bateim shel tzaddikim. The houses of the tzaddikim are going to come back. They're going to come back to its original glory. And therefore, the rabbi says to the other rabbi, you don't need to be sighing and being so distressed and feel, you see the house of this great rabbi who did great things, a great tzaddik, and you see the house laying in ruins and it's broken down. You feel so stressed out about it. You feel so sad about it. It says, don't feel so bad about it, because you know what? It's going to come back. The house is going to be rebuilt in the future. So it's a temporary destruction. It's like, in a certain sense, when you comfort somebody, someone who lost somebody, a relative, one way of comforting the person is by recognizing that the person is going to come back. It's going to be tchiyat hametim. Of course, it's tragic, but the person needs to know that they're going to come back. The person who passed on is going to come back. They'll be tchiyat hametim. So That's words of comfort. So that's what he's saying to the rabbi. The house is going to come back. So therefore, that was how. But the rabbi wasn't comfort. He didn't buy. He wasn't satisfied. He wasn't. So the Gemara says, Chazyei de lo miyashiv daiti. Ula saw Rav Chisda did not accept what he said, because at the end of the day, it's true. The house of the tzaddik is going to come back, but today the house of the tzaddik is not here. So at the end of the day, it's still tragic. So maybe that's why the rabbi Rav Chisda did not accept this words of comfort, consolation. So what happens? He saw that the first words of comfort did not work. So he tried a second words of comfort. What did he say? V'amalei, and he said to Rav Chisda, Dayo le'eved sheyeh karabo. It's appropriate, it's sufficient that the servant should be like the master, right? A servant should not be given more honor than the master. So if the master, meaning God, his house is down, his house is broken, the Beit HaMikdash is destroyed, so now you can understand why the houses of Tzaddikim are destroyed. The Tzaddik is a servant of God. So if the master's house is down, the servant's house is not supposed to be more greater status and having here more than the master. So therefore, you should be understanding more of the situation, and the way some explain is you shouldn't mourn more for the tragedy of this house more than you mourn for the tragedy of the Beit HaMikdash being destroyed, and therefore he said, don't be so distressed. That was. She says 2 people in the waiting room. View. Okay. So that's what the Gemara says. Okay. So the Gemara continues. So it looks like he must have accepted that those words of consolation. So the Gemara says, Tana Rabbanan, Haroe Kivrei Yisrael. I just want to welcome everybody who just joined. I'm having trouble getting everybody in a few minutes ago. We would try to get everybody in. Good morning. Rabbanan. The rabbis taught. Haroe, we are on Nun Chesam Beis, 58b. We're about 15 lines in. The first word of the line is Miyashev Daite. Tana Rabbanan. Haroye Kivrei Yisrael. If someone goes and he sees places where Jewish people are buried, what is it, 58b? What number on the page? 58b2. So if someone sees places where Jewish people are buried, so the question is, the language of the Gemara is plural, Kivrei Yisrael. So some say it has to be at least where 2 people are buried, not one person, but 2. Some say no. Even one person, if someone sees a burial place where someone's buried, there's a special bracha, special blessing that is said by seeing somebody, going to a cemetery. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Shmuel and Avram. So what is the bracha? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech olam, asher yotza eschem badin, that God created the people with judgment. God has an attribute of judgment. He decided that he's going to create the people. V'zon eschem badin, and he also takes care of the people. Not only does he go ahead and he creates the people, he said I have to create the people. He made a judgment, and he says I'm going to create the people, and how many people will be created. But then he says he makes the case. He judges, and he says I'm going to take care of the people. He doesn't just create the people; he sustains the people. And he takes care of he sustains them, and he takes care of all their needs. With din, You know, if by right that the person has Hashem makes a judgment and he says he's deserving of whatever I'm giving to him, I'm going to. Now Hashem also uses chesed when Hashem judges somebody. He doesn't only judge with din, with judgment. He also connects with kindness. But there's a judgment about, like, you know, we have Rosh Hashanah. Person's judged on Rosh Hashanah. How much a person's going to get for the year? It's a judgment. There's a din. There's a judgment that Hashem makes a judgment about how he's going to give everybody. And then, then when Hashem gathers the person, like it says, when a person leaves this world, it says, "Vayasef el amav." He's gathered to the people. When he passes away, that also was as a result of a din. There was a judgment. God judges, and as a result of the judgment, it's time for the person to leave this world. He leaves this world. So v'atid lakimchem badin. But you know what's going to happen in the future? Hashem is going to judge again, and the person's going to be judged to have tchiyat hametim. He's going to get up again. He's going to be tchiyat hametim. There'll be a court case after a person leaves this world. There's another court case. There's a court case. Where's the guy headed? The head guy's going. Where is he going? And hopefully he'll win the court case, and he'll go to Olam Haba. And he'll go to Olam Haba, good morning, Morris, and he'll also go have Tchiyat HaMeitim. He'll be revived. There's going to be another judgment, and that's the bracha. That's what the first opinion in the Breita says. You're supposed to say when you go to the cemetery, when you see the people buried in the cemetery. That's the blessing you say. You talk about God made a judgment. He created the person he ruled. He decided that this person should be created. Nothing is by chance. Nobody comes to the world just by mistake, or it happened by itself. There was a judgment. The person should come to the world. He was taken care of by God, and he left this world with a judgment. There was a judgment. The person just doesn't leave this world. God made a judgment. It's time for the person to go. And then there's time for the person to come back. So therefore, that's what we say when you go to a cemetery. Ma bereid Ravina Messiah Mishmid Nachman. He has something else to add to the bracha. What did he add to the bracha? He said, V'yodea mispa kulchem. He knows the number of all of you. Meaning God knows how many people, he knows all the people that passed away in the world. Everybody is accounted for. There's no such thing. You know, we're going to say there's a bracha to Ruvain, v'hi mitav mispar. There's a bracha that's given that all the people that pass away should be counted. And Rav David Feinstein once said that the idea is, every Jew counts. Like by the Israelis, if we chas v'shalom, if this one Jew is lost, it's a big deal. By other nations of the world, by some people, it's just another number. By us, one is big. That's why you find such things that they're willing to give up, but the Israelis are willing to give up to get back one person, because every person's accounted for. And that's what we recognize by Hashem, that every person, we recognize that every person that passed away was accounted for. Every person was a big deal. Every person was a world in itself. So therefore we say, he knows the number of every person that passed away, and he's going to go ahead and you're going to be alive again, and you're going to remain. You'll remain forever, so to speak, after that. That's how the Slach says, that after B'tchiyat HaMeitim, people come back, they'll be here forever. No more Bila HaMovet LaNetzach. No more death. They'll be forever. Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayeh HaMeitim. He said that you would end the bracha Mechayeh HaMeitim. Okay, now what about Kivrei Ovet V'Chavim? So that's the bracha, and maybe we'll see more about this, that I think we say this bracha if you weren't at a cemetery for 30 days. We say this bracha. Every 30 days, a person wasn't at a cemetery for 30 days, this is the bracha that's supposed to be said Now, some people say that even if you were in a cemetery, but as long as you weren't in the same cemetery, as long as you went to a different cemetery, some also, so we have to see la halacha lamase, but but it's every 30 days. Person wasn't at a cemetery in 30 days. This is a bracha that's supposed to be said. You can look at a siddur, you can see, you'll find it in the siddur.
By the way, that's interesting.
What
You said, no, you said about mispah, like every person's accounted for. I think there's an exception in the world. They say, unfortunately, when the person dies, they say his number's up. I've heard that expression. His number is up, which is the same thing you said.
That means his number. He's counted for. Right. Very good. But if a person goes by a cemetery of non-Jewish people, and we're talking about people that worship idols, people that did not follow, the non-Jewish people who did not follow what they were supposed to do in life. So what are they supposed to say? What's the bracha? There is not a bracha, there's a pasuk. You say, Bosha imchem. The pasuk talks about that your mother is embarrassed by the deeds of their children. Meaning to say, if these people that were buried here, if they did not follow what they were supposed to be doing, if they worship idols, so therefore there's a pasuk to say, about that pasuk spoke about Bavel, and where they will be embarrassed from the children, because the children eventually won't have, Bavel will be desolate because of the actions, because of the actions that the children acted. Why did Hashem destroy Bavel? Because of Nebuchadnezzar. He destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. We were mourning about today, where he laid siege to the Beit HaMikdash. That's today's story. Aser b'Tevet, Nebuchadnezzar laid siege. And here we have a pasuk that discusses Bavel. Nebuchadnezzar, how do you like that, Mara? That he destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. There's a nevuah about him that he's going to go ahead and his land will be desolate and empty because of the bad things that he did. Amar Rabbi Yeshua. Okay, so at this point, we'll say okay. Another piece of the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Haroye es chaveiro. If you see a friend, you have a friend, and you haven't seen this friend in 30 days, and this is a friend that you cherish very much. Also says a friend that you cherish very much. If you didn't see him in 30 days, there's a special bracha that you say over such a friend. How do you like that? A special bracha you say over such a friend. Tosfos says, if you look at the top Tosfot, Haroye Chavero Achashushem Yom Shashechianu Omari, top Tosfot on the right, Dafka Chavero Hachaviv Alav, over Be'inya Achalo. Only a friend that's so beloved by you, someone that you, such a close friend. You didn't see him in 30 days, you say a bracha. What's the bracha? Omer Baruch Shechiyanu Vikimanu Vikiyanu Lasman Hazeh. Say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam Shechiyanu Vikimanu Vikiyanu Lasman. That I saw you. I haven't seen you in 30 days, and you're a close friend of mine. The simcha that a person has for such a thing, you say the.
What if you talk to him? What if you talk to him a lot on the phone, or you
good.
see him on a video, like we see each other?
Very, very good. So we're going to see that in a moment, Yosef. We're going to get to that in one moment. We'll see to address Yosef's question. The second point the Gemara says, if you didn't see this person for 12 months, 12 months passed and you didn't see the person, a year passed. Now we have to see also the language of the Gemara is 12 months. You see, this year we have a leap year. The year is 13 months, right? The Gemara doesn't say after a year, it says after 12 months. So the question, is it really at 12 months, even if it's within the year? Or is it really, okay, but let's see the Gemara. What do you say? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam b'chayei hameitim. The bracha that you say, because a person after a year is like in a certain sense, there's some resemblance to a mate, because when a year go by, you didn't see this person. There's a certain level of forgetting the person. That closeness is, you're not as close, and therefore now by seeing him, it's like wow, it's like Tchiyat HaMeitim. I saw a person. I say Baruch Hashem b'chayei hameitim. Now to address Yosef's point, In the Shulchan Aruch, it brings down this halacha. If you see your friend after 30 days, you say Shechianu. And if you after 12 months, you say Mechayim Eitim. And he says that's only if the friend is very cherished, beloved by you, and you're very so happy to see him. So the Mishnah Berurah says, now, let's say whether it's a man or whether it's let's say someone was away overseas, you didn't see his wife, his mother, his daughter, his sister. Since you're so happy with seeing them, you would say a bracha. Now, if you received a letter or people told you how they were doing, so then there's a question in the Achronim whether you say this bracha or not. Meaning, if you received a letter or you had a video chat, you don't. I mean, video chat is much more than a letter. I would think you're actually you're seeing their face. But in the times of the Mishnah Berurah of the Chafetz Chaim, there was might have been movie pictures, but there was no video chat or whatever. But here, if you received a letter that you know that the person's doing well, so then there's a question, but you didn't see the person. So would you say the bracha? You didn't see this person. You didn't see your mother for over a month, and then you finally went to visit her. But you've been having contact with her. You received a letter from her. People were telling you how she was doing. So we say safik brachot lahakel. You will not say the bracha in such a circumstance. Okay. So the Gemara continues. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav. Rav says, Ein hamet mishtakeach min halev ela la'achar shnei asar chodesh. Everybody have the Gemara? The first word of the line is mishtakach. I may have it. Mishtakach is the first word of the line. You're wrong? Ein hamet mishtakach min halev ela la'achar shnei asar chodesh. A mate does not leave the heart. It takes 12 months for a person, so to speak, to not to focus, so to speak, on that loss. It takes 12 months. What is really interesting is the Avelot period. The period of Avelot is 12 months. Of the mourning period, it takes 12 months for a person to, so to speak, be able to, I don't want to say the word move on, but the point is be able, because the person always remembers the past, but it's not as focused on their loss as they were the first 12 months. The first 12 months, it's most probably the focus is much more on the loss. It takes 12 months, and that's why they say that Yaakov Avinu was not comforted. All the years that they tried to comfort Yaakov, but he wasn't comforted, right? He thought Yosef passed away, but the fact that he wasn't comforted was a sign that he really didn't pass away. Because if he really would have passed away, Yaakov would have felt comforted. He would have felt, because after 12 months, he would have been able to move on a certain amount. But fact is that if he's still alive, you can't comfort somebody for someone who's still alive. So therefore, and Shenema, and where do we find this? David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Nishkachti kemeit milev, I was forgotten like a person who passed away from the heart. Hayiti kekli oved, I was like a utensil that was lost. What's the story? So the Rashi said that somebody loses something, right? If you find something that has a siman, I found something that has a siman. I found a baseball glove. It has somebody's name on the baseball glove. And I go ahead and Yerushalayim, what do? I need to go ahead and then make announcements. I go by the Shalosh Regalim, I go to Yerushalayim, all the Jews are coming to Jerusalem, and I make announcements of Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuot. I found a baseball glove. And if after 3 Regalim passed by, let's say even if it happened, let's say I found it right after Pesach, I found the glove, so I would have to go Shavuot and Sukkot and Pesach. I would have to announce it. After 12 months, from the time I announced it, if the person did not retrieve it, if he didn't get it back, he gives up hope. That's general, the person will give hope, but I don't have to keep on announcing it. So that's what the Gemara said. It was that he was forgotten like a mate. When was that? when is a mate forgotten? Like the way a utensil is forgotten. When is a utensil given up? After 12 months, the person says, I didn't get it back. I'm going to give up hope. So too, the Gemara says that that's when a mate is forgotten from the heart. Rav Papa v'Rav Huna b'rei de Rav Yeshua. Havika Azli b'orcha. Rav Papa and Rav Huna, the son of Yeshua, Havika Azli b'orcha. They were traveling together. Hogu bo b'Rav Chanina b'rei de Rav Ika. They met Rav Chanina, the son of Rav Ika. Amrulei, they said to him, Bahadi de Chazinach, when we saw you, Berachinan alach tarte. Immediately when we saw you, we said 2 brachot upon meeting you. What were the 2 brachot that we said by meeting you? The 2, what did you say? Oh, very good. Shechianu, because they didn't see him in 30 days. They said Shechianu. And they also said the bracha, Baruch asher chalak mechachmoto l'reyav. They said the bracha of blessed be Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, that blessed you Hashem that has given from your wisdom to those that fear you. Like we said, if you see an outstanding Torah scholar, an outstanding rabbi who is outstanding, like Rav Yosef, there would be a bracha to say on such a rabbi that God has given from himself to people who fear him, to people given from his wisdom. I'm not sure in practice whether people say this bracha. They have different opinions. The Aruch HaShulchan, I think, says, because it's not clear the level of scholarship that the person needs to be on for you to say this bracha. So therefore, many people don't say the bracha. It's not clear what the level of scholarship, but there definitely are people that say this bracha on such a person. Some people say this bracha on Reb Chaim Kanievsky today. I think the one rabbi that people might say this bracha today, I think is this bracha is on Reb Chaim Kanievsky. There's some people that say this bracha. And like we mentioned earlier, when we saw this Gemara, when the Gemara mentioned this bracha, that you see how the fear of Hashem is a key. It's not just about, because in order to be the Chacham, you have to have the fear of Hashem, Yirat Shemayim. So therefore the bracha, the text of the bracha is that Hashem has given from his wisdom to the ones that fear him, the ones that have the Yirat Shemayim. You have to highlight that a lot in life, because a lot of times people go to schools and it's about some schools, some day schools, it's about a subject. It's about knowledge, but it's not about the heart and the soul and the fear of Hashem. And therefore it's a big problem. And that's why we have to, and you should know that today is Asara B'Tevet. On the 8th of Tevet, 2 days ago, on Sunday, it was a very sad day in the history of the Jewish people when the Greeks forced, Talmai HaMelech forced us to translate the Torah into 70 languages. And the point of that was he wanted to take away the holiness of the Torah, as if it's like every other thing, every other wisdom, every other you have the Greek philosophy. This was the Jewish philosophy. It's one of 70, one of 71. And that's the tragedy, taking away the heart and the soul. And that's part of the problem in some schools, that they have to put in the heart and the soul. It's not just the subject. That's the problem. So here therefore it's emphasized in the Reyav to the ones that fear him. And Shechianu, and the bracha of Shechianu. I just want to note, it's interesting the order that he said, that the Gemara brings down, the bracha on the Chacham and on the Shechianu. Why the Shechianu second? I would have said, there's a rule called Tadir v'she'ena Tadir, and you have something more frequent, you Tadir Kadem. The one that's more frequent, I would have said the bracha of Shechianu first. So just noting as I'm learning together that why we have to think about this, why this bracha was said first. Amar lahu. So he said to them, Anonami. He said, when I also, Kivan the Chazintchu, when I saw you rabbis, Chashavtintchu alai, I considered you people, you great rabbis, Kishitin Rivsin Beisrael. You're like 600,000 people. You're so great. See that? You're so great that to me you're like 600,000 people, and therefore you're like equal to the whole Israel. And I will say another bracha on you. I want to say 3 brachas on you, Rabbi. I want to say the bracha, a special bracha upon seeing 600,000 people together. That's what he says. I'm a 600,000 Jews in it. And I said 3 brachos on you rabbis. Hanach Tate, I said Chacham Harazim, I said Shechianu, and I said Baruch Chacham Harazim. I said the bracha of blessed be Hashem, who knows what's in the hearts of all the people. I said 3 brachos for you. Amalei. So Rav Papa, Rav Huna said, Chakima Kulihai, that you're such a great Chacham, that you're able to recognize, you could see in us, you say that we're so great, that we're equal to 600,000 people. Yavinu be'anayu. They weren't happy. They looked at him not in a nice way. They thought he was by saying that he knows 600,000, as if we equal 600,000, as if you feel that that we're so great, that we have the knowledge of 600,000 people. If I say you're like 600,000 people, I'm saying, wow, you're so smart. You encompass all these people. And for you to say that you can recognize that in us, we feel that you're saying that you're indicating a little bit too much about how great you are. And they weren't happy. They weren't happy with that. And Yoveinayu and Shechiv. And the fact that the rabbis did not look at him with a nice eye, the power of that, he died. Just like we find the concept, if the rabbi says something, a word, like Yaakov says, anybody who stole the idol should die. So the fact that the rabbis, it's the power of the rabbi's voice, it's the power of the rabbi's eyes, by looking at them, not being happy with the way he expressed himself, as if he knows so much about the rabbis, he knows the depth of the rabbis, he is able to see the greatness of the rabbis in such a way, he felt that they weren't happy with what he did, and therefore, just not being happy, from when God sees that tzaddikim are not happy, so God punishes the people that they're not happy with. And that seems to be what the Gemara says. Maybe we'll have a more, it seems that the rabbis, they weren't happy that if he said about them, he said that these 2 rabbis are equal to 600,000 people. Morning, Mr. Asbury. If he's saying that they're equal to 600,000 people, that means you're saying you're able to see in us how great we are. You're able to see that you see in us that we are such amazing rabbis that we equal 600,000 people. Then what does it mean 600,000 people? There's like 600,000 types of ways that a person could think. There's like 600 different people there's like 600,000 mindsets. And you're saying that we have 600, we're equal to the 600,000 mindsets. As if you're seeing in us that we are so great. So they felt that for you to say that you know about us, that we are so great, that we have these 600,000 minds, that we could figure out 600,000 different ways of looking at things and understanding things. It's like this 600,000 shatim for every pasuk. You're able to see in us that we're so great. So the fact that you could say, I know how great you are, he felt that in itself was was saying too much. That for a person to say, I know how great you are, I could tell. I look at you, I could tell, I could see everything about you. So to be able to say, I recognize your depth. So the rabbis felt that was going too far. To say that you can tell about me, you know how great I am. Disappointed that this with other chacham, that this chacham said about these rabbis. And his look at them was negative, and a negative look by the chacham, but these 2 rabbis caused the death of that rabbi. Yes. Well, maybe we'll see more tomorrow, a little more commentary. But it's not a simple point. That's not a simple point. So we'll see more commentary tomorrow. Right. He meant well, but he sounded like he was saying, I know a lot about you. I know so much. I could see in you so much, and that they felt was too much. But again, we'll look more.
Rabbi,
stay tuned tomorrow for more commentary on this.
Why, Rabbi? Why it is so bad to translate the Torah to 70 languages? Without actually translating it.
You'll say people. Right, 600,000 people, but 600,000 people.
600,000 mindset of how the rabbi could have think.
Yeah, I'm saying.
That we did the bracha only when we see 600,000 people.
600,000 people, right? And this was these were 2 rabbis, and it said on two rabbis, it said you rabbis are like 600,000 people. We'll see. Right, you sure.
We look like we like
We say should have said a bracha. But we're not saying a bracha. So you two must say, bro.
I want you to go and pray, Avi.
Yes, Yosef, what do you want to say, Yosef?
Why it was so bad to translate the Torah into 70 languages when the fact, we need the translation for people to understand it, like we living in the Gola.
Right,
know?
right, very good. But that's not why they translated it. They didn't translate it in order to help the people learn. They translated it to take away the neshama, that it should be like every other language. That's why they
Okay.
translated it. It wasn't translated to be able to spread Torah. They translated it to make it like every other language, that it should have, it should not be anything unique.
I got you.
And that was the problem. It's like every other thing, another book, another wisdom. But Torah is not another wisdom. Torah is a total different world in itself. It's holy.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Avram Shmuel, thank you for joining in.
Rabbi,
Thank you.
Yes.
you want to see something beautiful? Look at this. Look, the sun is between the trees coming up.
Very nice.
Can you see that?
A little bit, but I'm just
little
running
bit,
to
yeah.
I'm just running to Minyan.
Yeah,
great
me
day.
too. Okay.
Okay,
Bye,
take care.
Rabbi.
Easy kindness, easy fast, everybody. You got it.
Oh, we got up 5 o'clock to eat.
Very good. Okay, I'll see you
Okay.
later. Talk to you.
Bye, Rabbi.